This is David Kroodsma with Hub Culture and the World Climate Summit. I'm joined today by Jeff Seabright, the Vice President of Environment and Water Resources at Coca-Cola. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us about your water initiative to be water neutral, I think it is, by 2020, and how you plan to make that happen?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's, I think, fairly obvious that for a global beverage company, which is what we are, water is the most essential part of our business. It's the biggest part of our supply chain, and it's also a resource that's undergoing stress around the world as a result of overexploitation, poor management, and increasingly climate change, which is impacting water resources. Water is sort of the medium through which climate change is manifest on the planet. So more severe weather, more droughts in other parts of the world, etc. And so as this vital resource is such an important part of our business and such an important part of the communities and ecosystems in which we live and do business, we've really tried to understand how we can be better stewards of this resource, not just within the four walls of our plants, but more comprehensively. So we've sort of rolled up a lot of our work under the goal of being water neutral, or to replenish the water we use in our beverages by giving back as much as we use. So what does that mean? Last year we used, in rough numbers, 300 billion liters. 180 billion liters left the plants as treated effluent water, so the water we use for rinsing and cleaning and safely treated.
And is this a lot more expensive to be doing these things, or are you doing these in ways that are very cost effective?
No, they're very cost effective. So what we're doing is we're here in Mexico, for example, we're working with Pro Natura and the government of Mexico to reforest, to plant trees. When those trees are planted, it helps the watershed remain healthy. That means that our business has access to a healthy watershed. It also happens to sequester carbon. So these are investments in our business. We're involved in India. Rainwater harvesting is another way that we're investing in ways to give back what we use.
So I've talked to you and some other people at Coca-Cola, and I have to say I'm impressed by the environmental actions that your company is taking, and they are real. Reducing your carbon emissions, doing this great initiative on water. I'm always a little skeptical though of companies' intentions, and I wonder why. First, I wonder why you do so, why you're doing this, and why other companies are not, and if there's another, and what if your goal of this is marketing and outreach, or it is to how you're trying to, what your goal is?
Well, I think our goal, I think there are two elements to it, and it's a great question. I think it's a very important question. Part one is, we've just talked about water. As we look at the issues that are impacting our business, and we've been around 125 years, so right. Take a long-term view. These issues around resource constraints, around energy, water, agriculture, are very real aspects of the business landscape that we're going to have to navigate. So as we look at this, that's why we report in our SEC 10K, water is a risk to our business, and separately we report climate change as a risk. So as we think about our strategic plan going forward, we look at these factors, they're very real. They're not theoretical, they're not PR, they're not sort of check the box kinds of things. These are aspects of the business that we're going to have to manage and navigate if we're going to be successful. So that's point one. Point two is we're a consumer goods company. When you walk down the aisle of a store, you have a choice to buy our products or not. If you don't love us, you don't buy us. Right. So we have to be relevant, and over the years, we have a tradition of trying to connect and refresh the optimism and power of our brand in each new generation. And whether that's the Hilltop ad or the Mean Joe Green ad, there's been a great tradition of that.
Have you ever had a case where you've advertised something as a green or environmental product or a socially good product and then gotten backlash because it wasn't necessarily as green or environmental socially as maybe the public would think?
I wouldn't say a backlash. I think, we've launched Plant Bottle, which is
right.
Our PET bottle, right. 30% renewable material. I think there have been some who've questioned, is that as
I was
beneficial?
very skeptical of it until I had you explain it earlier, and I believe you now. It is a sustainable product, but it took a lot of explanation for me to come
and that's
on board.
That is a challenge in this space, right? Which is, we try to do good work on the analytical side of life cycle analysis, and working with partners like the World Wildlife Fund, which was involved in reviewing and helping shape our thinking around the sourcing of the materials for the plant bottle, to make sure that it was sustainable, that it was appropriate. And so, you know,
Or
we
at
haven't
least
had
better.
any. Correct. Yeah, we did a life cycle analysis with Imperial College in London, looking at the total carbon impact by using a renewable resource, even including the transportation and processing. Right. So, you know, fairly careful. But it's very hard to condense some of that messaging down to a soundbite sometimes.
Right. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This is David Kroodsma, joined by Jeff Seabright, the Vice President of Environment and Water Resources at Coca-Cola.